Hey, welcome back to the Portakeeper YouTube channel. If this is your first time and you like the content, appreciate you hitting subscribe at the bottom. This is kind of part 3 of the DF83 ground distribution. We're going to use the Crew sifters. We're going to sift out and kind of make a simplistic particle distribution. So part 1 and part 2, the DF83 still had the stock burrs that came with the grinder in it. And since then, I have upgraded to the SSP red, which is high uniformity. I can never keep them straight. They have several different sizes, but so far the only ones from SSP for this grinder are the high uniformity. So far I've been loving them. So I didn't want to do it right off the bat because they were brand new burrs and they needed to season a little bit, and as I've ran coffee through them, the grounds have definitely gotten quite a bit fluffier. So before, we made particle distributions for Espresso as well as drip, and we kind of compared them on a piece of paper. So today I'm going to do the exact same thing, but it's with the SSP burrs. And today I'm dialed in for Espresso, so we're going to run it on Espresso. You can notice that I'm actually pretty high on my number. I'm on about 42 right now. And the reason for that is the SSP burrs don't zero at the same place, and I've not replaced the sticker on top. So previously I was running almost all the time at setting 18 for Espresso. Now I'm between 40 and 42. I'm on 42 today. We're just going to run with that. I used it this morning and pulled some great shots with the same beans, so that should be pretty much spot on for what we're trying to do here. We're going to grind it. And I pre-weighed 18 grams. And then we're going to use our Crew sifter with a series of different screens to look at the various particle sizes. So I've shown this before. We're looking at this Espresso bar. So we're looking for basically 200 to 600. Typically the 200 there's almost none of. Greater than 600 there's very few of, and that's fine. So I have it set up today, at least for part 1. The top screen is set on 600, the bottom on 500, and then anything smaller than 500 will go in here and we'll change the screens. So we have our grounds. I'm just going to use this WDT tool, and we're going to try to get all the particles off the side. I want them all to go into this sifter, so I don't really want to lose a whole lot. We lost a little bit of the chaff that stuck to the grinder. And we're going to sift it. Generally it's better with the lid on, but you can also kind of control it a little bit better with the lid off. And whatever is left on each screen at the end, we're going to weigh those out, and we're going to develop a kind of simple particle distribution of where are all your particle sizes throughout this burr, at least on this setting and for these beans. It's going to change a little bit, but these are pretty all-around beans. They've made some great espresso, so far I'm finding this very interesting. This is the 600 micron screen. We have quite a few that are slightly larger than 600 microns. So I think that the distribution is going to be very heavy on one side and light on the fines. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know yet, but we're going to weigh them out. So these are 600 and greater. And this part is always a bit of a mess. Okay, I got the 600 micron cleaned up, and it looks like we're at about 4.4 grams. I'm just going to write that on this piece of paper. And there was 18 total. And we're gonna study every piece of the slice as we sift it out off to the side. So we're at about 4.4 greater than 600. And I'm going to continue to sift out these grounds, and we'll take a closer look at each section. Okay, so the next cut that we're going to look at is the 600 to 500 micron range. And there's not very much. We have about 1.7 grams. So I'm going to write that 1.7, and we'll put it off to the side. I guess before we proceed, this is everything less than 500. So there's still quite a bit left, but I've been pretty impressed with the distribution, at least so far. We'll see where this is going. Back with new screens, and we're doing from 400 on the top and 300 on the bottom. So we're going to give this a nice sifting and weigh it out like we did before. Okay, here's everything smaller than 500 microns but bigger than 400. And I think this is kind of like the middle of the curve. We're at about 6.5 grams. And I'm a little surprised that we had such a big pile that was bigger than 600. So we're going to write 6.5. Now, I was using my Breville Bambino this morning, and I can tell that I need to go a little bit coarser, I think, just because it's not quite as powerful of a machine. Now we're down to our second to last weight. This is everything smaller than 400 but bigger than 300 microns. We're at 3.3 grams. Everything else I'm going to consider just kind of the ultra fines, and we're going to weigh those out next. So this is everything less than 300 microns. And I'm not going to put the 200 in because I don't think it matters at this point. We're going to get more static than anything. So 1.2 grams. Okay, so here's our final distribution. Just a reminder, we started with 18 grams. It was on an espresso setting. It might have been set slightly coarse, but not by 1 or 2 settings. We had 17.1 out, so we do have a little bit of error just because grounds do get stuck in the corners, and it's kind of hard to make sure that you get all of the grounds out. But for the most part, it should be a pretty good representation. So here's what I found, I guess, kind of strange. You have a fairly decent amount that is greater than the 600 microns. And from there, you kind of have your standard curve. So this is the bottom of the curve, this is the middle, and then this is the top of the curve. And then you kind of have all these, what I guess you can consider as boulders, that it's not quite a true bimodal distribution, but I do find it a little bit strange. So I'm not really sure. I've really enjoyed these high uniformity SSP burrs. I would say I've liked them considerably more than the stock burrs, but I was not expecting this grind distribution. So that's it in a nutshell. I've had people asking for this, and I don't think that the fines are too terrible. I am at the end of this video, I'm going to take my previous espresso video and we can do a side-by-side comparison of how many grams were in each section of the cut that we were trying to sift out. So that's it for the espresso. I can write espresso. Espresso SSP HU setting 40. I don't really want to write that because everyone's setting is going to be different. But that's it. So thanks for watching. Let me know if you've kind of found some similar I think it's probably better to be a little bit more on the unimodal side, but this is just kind of a different distribution. Not necessarily bad, it's just not what I was expecting. Okay, so I know that this graph kind of confused me at first, so this is just a speculation. I really don't have any tools to measure this any other way. So the greater than 600 was a little bit more substantial than the 600 to 500 range. Now, this is my speculation just from looking at the grounds themselves and comparing the two. My opinion is that the 600 to 500 range that is slightly less than the greater than 600, that those particles are actually fairly similar in size and shape. So the ones that slip through the 600 to 500 hole, I really do think that you kind of have a very flat portion of the curve. But I don't have any way to measure that. I use these Creve sifters. They've always done a great job. But, I mean, you're going from 600 to 500 microns. So you have a whole 100 micron range that I'm not really able to take a look at. It'd be nice to maybe have like a 550 to see if there is a big portion of them that were kind of in that area. I would say that the main thing here is some people might look at that data and it might concern them. I don't think it would really concern me because at the end of the day, what it tastes like in the cup is what I really care about. And in my experience, I can tell, if I did a blind test, I could tell a difference between the stock burrs and these HU burrs. Now, is it an enormous difference? Well, that one's a difficult one to really explain. You're really just going to have to try it out for yourself to see if it's worthwhile. I would say I have been blown away by the HU burrs and the DF83. I think it is an amazing all-around grinder. I've had amazing V60, amazing espresso. I've tried everything from basically right below second crack darkness and lighter. And I think that these burrs really excel with that. And I really don't enjoy coffee that is any darker than that. So it really didn't fit my palate. It really is not something that I'm probably even going to try. Just because I don't care for that, the darkness and the oils on those really dark beans. I feel like if you're going to go for something like that, you might be more suited for like the Turin SD40. It might make those taste a little bit more smooth, having that bimodal distribution. But I really feel like the distribution on this is very leaning towards that side of the graph. It's not this hard bell curve. So that's really my opinion. I would love to have something like, I don't even know, just some sort of a microscope to see these grounds and really see the differences in particle size and do an analysis. I've seen some people, I think Lance Hedrake did an analysis of some coffee grounds at one point, and I found it really interesting. But that's my opinion on this. I think that you'll greatly appreciate these HU burrs. That's just my personal opinion, but I've absolutely loved this grinder. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Having lots of cool content. I need to do some content on this Kaleido roaster. I mentioned the other day on an Instagram live about doing a live roast session, and people, I had a ton of people just kind of go wild over it. I've received a lot of DMs saying like, can't wait, let me know where you're going to do that. Maybe we'll have to do more than one so that all these people can join and ask questions. So again, thanks for watching.